During the second trimester is often where there's the greatest amount of development happening both for baby and for mom. While in the first trimester, pregnant women may not gain any weight at all or may only gain a few pounds, in the second trimester is where that weight gain really picks up and often where the majority of the pregnancy weight gain happens. On average, we consider a healthy weight gain during pregnancy to be about a pound per week in the second trimester. Of course, it's never linear, and there's going to be weeks where you gain more than that and weeks where you gain less than that, and that's totally okay. But over the course of those 12 weeks, we would assume that you're probably going to gain about 12 pounds. If we think about calories, in the second trimester is where we start to see an increase in calorie need for women. So there is now enough development happening in baby that we need to actually eat more calories so that we have more energy to provide those functions. In the second trimester, we need approximately 340 extra calories than we needed before we were pregnant, or than we needed in the first trimester. That 340 calories is generally really easy to get. It could be from slight increases in each of our meals, or we might need an extra snack. Generally, women who are pregnant in the second trimester feel hungrier. This is often the time when they can feel good, have more energy, less of the morning sickness, although for any of you who are pregnant, we know that sickness doesn't just last in the morning. So often getting more food is something that's easy to do, and our appetite increases accordingly. In terms of what makes up those additional calories, there are increases in carbohydrate, protein, and fat needs during the second trimester. For carbohydrate, our baby's brain continues to use about 50 grams per day, and our pregnant body uses about 125 grams. So in the second trimester, pregnant women should be getting at least 175 grams every day of carbohydrate. This is not a time for low-carb diets. This is not a time for a keto diet where your intake might be closer to 20, 30, 40 grams. That wouldn't even provide the baby enough fuel for its brain development. What we need to get is carbohydrate with every meal and every snack in the form of things such as fruit, some vegetables, nuts, seeds, whole grains, potatoes, sweet potatoes. Those are all really good sources of carbohydrate and can help keep us full. In the second trimester, our protein needs increase as well. In fact, we need about 30 to 40% more protein in the second trimester than we needed in the first trimester or than we needed pre-pregnancy. So depending on someone's body weight, this might be an additional 30 to 50 grams extra of protein per day. If we are eating bigger meals or having an extra snack, just making sure that we're getting protein with every meal and every snack, or following guidelines such as making sure when you're pregnant that half your plate is vegetables, a third of your plate is vegetables, a third of your plate is protein, and a third of your plate is starch, is a really good way to make sure that we're getting enough protein every day. For vegetarians, it means eating eggs, dairy, yogurt, nuts, seeds, beans, tofu several times every day to get their needs. In terms of fat, our needs increase slightly in the second trimester with an increased need for omega-3 fats, including DHA and EPA. DHA and EPA are specific types of omega-3 that are only found in fish, and these specific types of fats are vital to baby's brain development. For women who don't eat fish, supplements may be a replacement, but I think it's important to know that there is some research that shows that perhaps omega-3 supplements don't actually help baby's brain development as much as fish does. So ideally, we are looking for pregnant women in the second trimester to have 2 to 3 servings of fish every week and looking for sources that are low in mercury and other contaminants. So things such as canned skipjack tuna or canned white tuna. We want to avoid high mercury sources like canned albacore tuna. We could also enjoy things like fresh or wild caught salmon or trout, which are also very high in omega-3. Folate is a B vitamin that is needed in higher amounts in both the first, second, and third trimester. Pregnant women in the second trimester need approximately 400 to 600 micrograms every day from folate. We can get folate from food sources that have foliage, so things like fruits and vegetables, nuts and seeds, and beans are all very good sources of folate. Generally, pregnant women who are vegetarian are the ones who are getting folate in the highest amounts. We do want to make sure, because folate is so important to babies' cognitive development, in terms of their spinal cord development, in terms of their brain development, we do want to make sure that we're getting folate from a supplement. And most prenatals will have anywhere from 400 to 800 micrograms of methylfolate, which is the preferred source. So if we are looking for a prenatal, please ensure that it has that amount of folate in it. And we would take it from the time we are trying to get pregnant until post-conception. Choline is another B vitamin that has gained attention in recent years, and I do think it will soon be standard to be added to all prenatals, similarly to folate. It does play a similar role in baby's brain and cognitive development to folate. We know that approximately 90% of pregnant women are not getting enough choline. Choline is found in food sources such as meat, bacon. Sometimes vegetarians in particular tend to have lower levels of choline. It's recommended that if you are trying to supplement, you want to look for anywhere between 400 to 450 milligrams of choline to be added to a prenatal. At this time, there are very few prenatals that have that amount of choline in it, although because of this recent research and interest in choline, I'm sure that in the next few years, it will be standard to have that amount in all prenatals. Morning sickness is something that tends to be highest in the first trimester, although many women do have it into the second and even the third trimester. If morning sickness is something that is impacting your life and your ability to feed yourself, you may be interested in B6 supplements, which do tend to show a benefit to decreasing these symptoms. Make sure that you talk to your doctor, of course, before adding any supplements, but B6 might be particularly helpful in sort of the level of 5 to 10 milligrams per day in the second trimester. Vitamin D supports fetal growth and baby's bone development. We do know that women who have low vitamin D status are more likely to give birth to preterm babies. And we do know that babies born to women who are deficient in vitamin D have lower bone density and lower birth weight. Vitamin D is something that we can get from the sun, although many women do not get enough. In order to get enough vitamin D from the sun, we have to be out in repeated bouts of 15 minutes every day, with the majority of our skin exposed, without sunscreen, and it has to be a sunny day. So it might be difficult to check all of those boxes depending on your lifestyle and where you live. If you can't check all of those boxes, there's a good chance you need a supplement in addition to what's in your prenatal. Most prenatals have 600 IUs of vitamin D in it, but depending on your status, depending on where you live, you may need up to 2,000 or even 4,000 international units per day. Vitamin D is found in only a couple of foods. It's found in things like fatty fish, it's found in eggs, and it's found in fortified non-dairy. So if you're not eating any of those things regularly, your need for vitamin D from a supplement will be even higher. It's always a good idea to get your vitamin D levels tested in lab work from your doctor so that you have a really good idea of where you are and how much supplement you need to make sure your baby gets enough. Calcium needs increase during pregnancy to support bone formation in the fetus. It is recommended that you look for approximately 250 milligrams of calcium in your prenatal from supplement form, as well as aim for 3 good calcium sources from food daily. Calcium food sources include any sort of dairy, such as milk, yogurt, and cheese, some fortified non-dairy, so certain non-dairy milks are fortified with calcium, leafy greens, tofu. Those are all good sources of calcium. Iron needs increase significantly during pregnancy. Pre-pregnancy, women need 18 milligrams of iron per day. That increases to 27 milligrams in the second trimester. In general, because iron is so important to baby's brain development and in fact can actually impact baby's IQ, attention, and learning at age 5, it's recommended that women try to get all of this requirement from supplement. So making sure that when you are choosing a prenatal, it has at least 27 to 28 milligrams of iron in it. In addition, you can get iron by choosing several food sources per day, such as meat, fish, poultry, eggs, nuts and seeds, dried fruit, tofu. Those are all very good sources of iron. I also recommend to all of my pregnant clients that they get tested for their ferritin levels or iron levels in the blood every trimester. This makes sure that we're getting enough iron and we're keeping our iron levels high, because the other thing that happens during pregnancy is that our blood volume increases, and this can actually decrease the amount of iron. It dilutes the amount of iron within our blood. So getting your iron tested is the number one way of making sure that you're getting enough iron. And this isn't standard practice. So a lot of times you actually have to advocate to make sure that your doctor or midwife is checking your iron levels every trimester. Finally, there's a nutrient that we want to make sure we're not getting too high of an intake from, and this is vitamin A. Vitamin A can be severely harmful to the baby in levels higher than 10,000 IUs per day. In general, prenatals usually have 4,000, maybe up to 8,000 IUs of vitamin A per day. But I do have clients who have been on vitamin A supplements pre-pregnancy and just continue to take their vitamin A supplement during pregnancy, or perhaps they're taking other sorts of supplements that have different types of nutrients in them, so they're getting vitamin A from multiple supplement sources. Sports drinks sometimes and sports supplements sometimes have vitamin A in them as well. So do make sure you're checking the nutrition label on all of your supplements that you're taking, and make sure that you're getting no more than 5,000 to 8,000 IUs of vitamin A per day from all of these sources.